Hi everyone, welcome back to Game Fishing Ireland. I did a fishing video a week or two ago. Chris out fishing with me on a small stream, and we had a bit of action on the dry fly, and the fish were refusing Chris's dry fly, but they were very keen on a pattern that I suggested. It's not my pattern particularly. It's a well-known pattern. It's an olive emerger, loop wing, CDC loop wing emerger. This one here. What it looks like from the top and the bottom, and that's the pattern. So I'm going to tie that, and you can tie lots of mayfly type patterns in this style. You can have them with just a loop, or you can have them with a loop and wings. So I was tying a few emergent mayflies for the locks, and they're tied in a similar way on an emerger hook with the loop, and they have the wings as well, like a hatch and mayfly. So tying a bunch of those for the locks, you can see here. So I think it was Martin that asked about the fly, so I said he'd look for a picture. So I said I just tied a fly all together. So this one's tied on a fulling middle living larva hook, but you need some sort of emerger hook. This is a size 18. You could go as far as probably 16 in these for, a 20 in these for maybe blue winged olives. And it's just for when those fish want the emergent fly just trapped in the surface film, but not up on top of the surface, which is often the case. So let's get to tying one of these for you. So it's an emerger type hook. This one is a fulling mill living larva size 18, but you could go to a 20. These tend to have a longer shank. These ones they're not bad, but again, you might try and pick one up with a wider gap if you think you need to. Particularly when you get to the smaller sizes, the gap is narrow enough in them, but generally not any great problem. So I'm going to use some nano silk for tying this, because we want a thread that's not too heavy. So this is a 30 denier nano silk in a brown. You could use olive or brown. So I just added a touch of wax to it just for adding it onto the hook here. Let's get a little bit more grip. And grab my scissors, snip it off. So I'm just going to run that down all the ways to where the bend starts. Then I'm going to take some fine pearl lurex. I'm just going to cut off a piece of that. I'm just going to catch that in, like so. Just run it around the shank. Just come back up a little bit, just where the bend is starting to fall. I'm just going to bring that forward a couple of turns. Like so. Catch it in. 2 turns either side and snip it off. So then I'm just going to take a dark olive cock hackle feather. I'm just going to pull off a small couple of fibres, not too many. I'm going to sit those in and just kind of angle them down just a little bit beyond the bend of the hook here, like so. Catch them in. Snip them off before they going all over the place. Run that thread up and come back down. That's fine. And sit down after a while anyway. So that's kind of like the shook of your emerger as such. Use some olive kapok on this. Now you could also just use floss or tying thread, and that'll work as well. So just a little bit of kapok. We want to keep the body fairly slim. That's better. So bring it up about 2/3 or so of the way up the shank there. So you're looking for 2 reasonably large and reasonably wide CDC feathers. You can use olive, but I prefer to use grey on the early season olive patterns, and that's simply because I think the wings of the olive are going to be grey. So you could use 3. The bigger the hook, the more feathers you're going to use. So just cut those in. Just bring the tying thread forward to a little bit short of the eye. So what I'm going to do then, and you can just add another tiny bit of wax to your thread. I'm going to add a little bit of a brown olive to the thorax area here. It's again the dry fly dubbing. I'm going to go down over the thorax, just add a little bit more, and come back forward. So because I want the thorax area to be slightly heavier than the body, so just building that up a little bit heavier, and then you're going to just catch the 2 of these like so, and then you're folding them over to make a loop. Oops, catch them in. So take your time, just make sure the loop, you want to push it back a little bit. You don't want it tied in tight, you want it loose and sort of flattened out. Just get that a couple of turns, lift them up, and a couple in front. What I'm going to do, just so I can show you what I'm doing here, is going to add a hitch so that I can free up my fingers out of the way. So the loop should be loose, so I'll just take a double needle here and show you. It should go in through there, and you should be able to pull on the loop. Okay, so you don't want it down tight. Now it's up to you. Some people like to pull a few fibers back to look like legs, like so. You can do that, or you can add a few in or whatever. But it's effectively quite a simple fly. I normally pull off, rather than wasting these bits, I normally pull them off and I pinch them around the length of what I would consider to be legs, and I just catch them in with 2 or 3 turns like so and trim them off. I just think it gives more of an impression of an emerging or hatching insect. So just tidy that area up. So what we're going to do then is I'm going to get a drop of varnish. I'm just going to put a drop there. I'm just going to get a tiny bit more of my dubbing. I'm just going to dub it onto my thread. I'm just going to go back, just form a little head area there. Get my finish to it. Tie that off. Do the snip. You could put varnish on the thread. I'll just rotate the vise here just to add another tiny drop underneath where I whipped off the whip finish, and there's your finished fly.